Hi, it's Ricky of Moshville Times here once again. Now, tonight we have a Glasgow old school death metal band, Rancid Cadaver. So, as you can probably tell with a band name like that, they don't write love songs, ladies and gentlemen. But tonight we've got bassist vocalist Ross and we have got guitarist Kieran. So, it's an absolute pleasure doing this interview with you guys. It's been a wee while and been setting up, but how the devil are you? How are things going?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. I'm actually on holiday now from work, so that's why I'm going to be drinking these in abundance. So yeah, finally making use of the birthday beers that I got the other night. So cheers.
So, you're 21 again?
Oh, I wish 25. I'm in the latter half of my 20s now. So.
Well, you're half my age, so I would rather be in your situation than mine. So, so how are you doing, Kieran?
Well, I sat in traffic for an hour and a half coming home from work, so
The mate?
not great.
Was it the
Not
mate?
great. Yeah, aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
I've been there, done that many times. But yeah, so it's great to see you guys. But sorry to start off the interview in this way, but in the 2 years of your existence, there's only been a change with Lee stepping down with vocals and Ross, your good self now taking over vocal duties. But silly question, does that mean that you're going to continue with the bass and vocal duties for recordings and live, or are things in the pipeworks?
So definitely, it's looking like it's definitely going to be vocals and bass moving forward.
Okay.
I just think with even when we was in the band, like we had like such a strong friendship dynamic as well as a band dynamic, which if you've been in a band before, honestly, in my opinion and in my experience, the friendship that's outside of the music is a very, if not more of an important factor.
Yeah.
So bringing somebody else into that could it could have been a gamble. Like it could have been like, things never worked out, or the music could have gotten compromised. I don't know. But yeah, there was basically like kind of what we're doing just now. Like we all went on Zoom, or was it Messenger chat? It was one of the two. And we were just like, right, what's next? And then I just went, well, I'll give vocals a bash. I've never really properly been the vocalist of a band before. So
Yeah. I was going to say that because I noticed that you're the bassist in Fatal Collision as well, but that was actually I was going to keep that for later on. But did you actually audition for other vocalists, or were you going to try it yourself first?
So first of all, it's funny because you were saying earlier on, like before we started this, you were saying you're wanting an exclusive. So here's the exclusive. I'm now the rhythm guitarist of Fatal Collision.
Okay, you like jumping from shoe to shoe, don't you? You're a bassist 1 minute, you're a vocalist next, and now you're a rhythm guitarist.
Yeah,
How are you going to be three people on the stage at the same time?
Oh, well, you're going to need to come and see his life. Yeah, basically, I just said, right, next practice, I'll give it a go. And worst case scenario, it doesn't work out, or it does, and I need to use bass with a pick. I'm not saying anything against pick, like playing bass with a pick. It's Chris Ryan, of course, he uses a pick, one of the best bassists out there. Shout out to Chris. But somehow it worked. Like somehow I was able to do vocals comfortably and also still play bass the way that I do. So yeah, we're kind of just like, it's funny because like there was times when I thought, oh, I would like to get somebody in to do vocals, and then there was other times when I was like, oh, I'd like to get another person in for bass. But now I think I'm like at a comfortable spot now where I can definitely do both. And I've been told from a lot of people that like the band dynamic is like just as strong, if not stronger, than when Lee was in the band. And that's not a knock on Lee, fantastic frontman, especially if anyone had got a chance to see him with Vass back in the day as well,
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think like, don't think for the person broken, you know what I mean?
No, fair play, fair play. But I hope, Kieran, that you made him audition twice because you weren't sure the first time.
No, man. Well, we had the discussion of what we were going to do because we're all really good friends, you know what I mean? So we didn't want to get somebody else in, and then it's a bit kind of weird, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Somebody we don't really know as well and stuff. So we tried it out. Well, Ross suggested, oh, I can try it out. Don't know how it will go. And we were all blown away.
Yeah.
And we were like, nah, that's it. Like, you're doing it. We were like absolutely blown away. So yeah, and then I think a lot of people were blown away the first gig we played with Ross on vocals and bass down in Newcastle. It was sold out and yeah, very well received. So
Well, what I'm taking from that is he was the cheapest option. So you just went with that, so that's fine. That's good.
Well, I was the bass player, so you know
Yeah.
that checks out.
But you're just a bass player, though. That's all.
Exactly.
You have done a gig on just vocals and not bass when you hurt your thumb as well. So you've done both.
Yeah, I had two actually. It was Glasgow and Hartlepool, like the weekend. And funnily enough, the Hartlepool gig was our first ever headline show. So shout outs to the boys in Vulgar Dissection for putting that on. Fantastic UK death metal band, by the way.
Yes,
one of our favourites within Cadaver. But I'd towards the latter half of last year, I had to get surgery on my finger because I had like a really bad break. So there was 2 gigs where we didn't have a bass player and I was just doing vocals. So
still worked though. Still worked.
It did work, yeah. It did.
Yeah.
Like Kieran, like the intro for Dragged Beneath, I think Higgy ended up just playing like that. Kieran, it was you that played that, wasn't it? You played that riff live.
I can't even remember. We either done that or it was just the Connor just on the snare hit and we all just kind of. I can't remember.
We made it work.
Yeah,
absolutely. These things are there to test us, though. But it's been almost a year and a half since you released Flesh Monstrosity. Now that you've had time to reflect on it, how do you think it stood the test of time, and would there be anything that you would change about it?
Okay, would you like to take this question first?
I am sick to death of it. Nah, man. It's weird because we play the songs all the time. We kind of had the same set for, well, since the EP came out, but it's like I don't often go back and listen to it, but whenever I do, I enjoy it, man, and it's a nice feeling, kind of enjoying your own music for once, and kind of, you know what I mean?
You know,
I wrote that.
Absolutely. Mental Funeral is in my top 3 death metal albums of all time, right? And the thing that I love about it is the production. It's as if they were given like $10,000 to record it, but they spent like $100 recording it and the rest in beer and whatever else that Autopsy do, you know what I mean? And that's the kind of feel that I got with that EP. They kind of aren't production, but that's what made it work.
Yeah, it was very DIY.
Yeah, because we used like a lot of I think we used like a lot of like, I guess, untraditional, for lack of a better term, recording. Like we recorded the drums and the vocals in the legendary Icebox venue, rest in peace. We recorded them in there. Very DIY sort of setup. The guitars were recorded in
Berkeley.
Berkeley, yeah. And it wasn't even like, and it was like just in one of the practice rooms. Bass, I just recorded it straight from DI at Grum from my other band, Fatal Collision's house. The same day that Ali recorded his solos in Grum's house as well. So yeah, it was very the entire recording process. Not once did we step foot in a studio.
So how is it for you looking back on it, Ross?
I'm very proud of it. Just to see the reception it's gotten, to know that it's been put out on Dry Cough Records. Shout out to Dry Cough Records.
Some roster they're getting, by the way. They were like a stoner for ages and ages, and they've just came into death metal. Aye,
I didn't even know that.
They've just all of a sudden gone to death metal. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's news to me. But so I guess they've always been putting out good music. But just the fact that, like, you know, I'm sitting here packing merch orders for like people in America and stuff, and like Europe, and it's just crazy to me that like my name is attached to something that's been so well received in like a short amount of time. Cliche, but dream come true, really, you know.
Listen, I wish I could do what you guys are doing. I had an interview with Andy Whale a couple of weeks ago, and I let him know that the closest I got to playing the drums was chopping my dad's garden canes in half and using that for cenotaph and wild eater and stuff, you know. So that's the closest I got to being in a band. But you guys are a wee bit quiet in social media, but something tells me that you guys have been up to something recently. and you've released a snippet of a demo for the song Massive Gore. So, what are you thinking of doing? Are you thinking of releasing another EP? Are you hoping to release a full-length album? What are you thinking of doing?
I'll let Higgy answer this one. Very much. There you go, Higgy.
Well,
I'll,
we're working on something.
it's a bit of a forbidden fruit sort of moment. We're like pending in the next stage of the band.
Good.
Could be an EP, could be an album. One thing's for certain, it's going to be new music. And I think as well, like a bit of a serious point, we're all really proud with how Flesh Monstrosity turned out.
Yeah.
But I think this time around, because we've played longer with each other now, we've kind of grown more as like a band and as friends. Everyone already, even when Lee was in the band, everyone brought something to the table. So I think a lot more of those influences that we had outside of Flesh are going to shine through. Do you know what I mean? Like
Good.
Faster songs, more technical songs, kind of branching out in like different parts of the death metal realm. At least that's what I can foresee. I think there's going to be a lot of similarities to Flesh, but I think a bit more is going to shine through as we've progressed since Flesh. I think that's a fair estimate.
Well, it better stay like Flesh. The vast majority of it better stay like Flesh, because that's what I love. I love my old school death metal. And the scene up here at the moment is absolutely incredible for old school stuff, but we'll talk about that later on. But yeah, so I mean, I don't know whether you've got like 8 songs ready to be recorded, 12 songs ready to be recorded, but it's a discussion that I have in a lot of my interviews. The old school like it, like album, couple of years album, couple of years album. They like the physical product, the lyrics, the artwork, and everything else. Whereas the younger generation kind of like an EP or a single, couple of months single, couple of months single, and keeping the name out there. Yeah. It's kind of like a double-edged sword. So it's going to be interesting to see what you guys have in store for us.
That's definitely something that I've had in mind a lot as well, because I've like seen it, especially in the last couple of years. Like a lot of bands now will just, it's almost like they're not writing albums anymore. They're just writing 10 singles and like packaging it as an album. Even bands like outside of the death metal realm, like, are doing that sort of stuff. Doesn't seem to be as commonplace with death metal. Although I know Sanguisugabog released Face Ripped Off as a single. That was like a year after that album came out, and like that was very well received. And then you remember, oh wait, that was a song off the album like last year. So, it just goes to show that like less is more. And I think I personally don't think it's a bad thing, but I still think albums have their place, in my opinion. So it's just bridging that gap.
Was that you giving us a wee subtle answer there as to what the next release is going to be?
Oh, you got me.
Well, listen, I would love. I've got questions about whether it's going to be independent or whether you're like a label backing up and stuff like that. I've got all that for later on. But yes, you guys have got a reputation. You play a lot of gigs. You've got a great following. You're selling out in places like Newcastle and going down to Hartlepool and all the rest of it. So you guys are going places. Just release music quicker. Right, faster.
Yeah. I think that's definitely a critique that we can definitely agree with, and we'll get the finger out.
But you can't rush perfection. That's the thing. So it'll come out at the right time.
I think it will definitely be worth the wait.
Is that an unbiased opinion, Kieran? Or is it good?
I'm not sure. We're only right at the very beginning, so we need to see.
I don't believe you. I think you have got 10 songs or something like that ready.
Maybe we do. Maybe we don't.
Yeah.
Wait. Ladies and gentlemen, I will get it out of them before the end of this interview. So you kind of touched on it a wee bit. So you said it, Ross, but how would you say, Kieran, it compares to the sound of Flesh Monstrosity? What do you think's different?
I think we actually were discussing this the other day. I think we've kind of got the Rancid Cadaver sound, so it's just more of that. And we all love The Bleeding by Cannibal Corpse. So
Good.
there's a couple of wee riffs on there. So aye, but that's all I'll say.
So you're no longer going to play a Mortician cover. You're going to play a Cannibal Corpse cover now, are you? Live.
Oh, I don't know. Wouldn't say that.
Too technical for you. Too fast.
The Mortician,
Certainly anything off that album.
the Mortician cover still has its place, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Kieran, how was, I know COVID was a wee while ago, but how was it for you? Was it a creative spell for you, or was it a time when you were maybe like fed up looking at the guitar, you put it away for 6 months, I can't be arsed looking at you, or did you write a lot of riffs in this time?
Well, to be honest, I can't really remember that well. It's all like a bit of a blur, to be honest. But I was in a different band at the time before Rancid Cadaver, and had went out after our last gig, which was in the February, so like a month before the lockdown, and I'd gave my guitar to the bass player. I just chucked it in his car, and I said, "Oh, I'm away out to the pub, so I'll get my guitar off you at some point."
Right.
And then lockdown happened, and I didn't have my guitar for months. So it was pretty bad. But then that's when me and Lee started me and Lee were talking about starting a band for years, because I've known Lee for ages, and we'd spoke about it for ages, and then I'd left that band and I was looking to start something else, so I just started writing a couple of riffs in the house and programming the drums and stuff, and then fired them over to Lee, and I think we got Ross in then, and then Lee knew Connor and Alistair from bass, so it all just kind of formed together. From that, just kind of me and him just kind of started it in the kind of lockdown thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So who do you think's brought their A game to this next release? Is somebody, or have you listened to different influences? Maybe during COVID you listened to different music that you would normally listen to because we couldn't do anything else. Or do you think the level of songwriting has just gone up a notch? Or has somebody, like his Connor, for example, the drummer, came up with a few ideas that you didn't expect?
Do you want to answer this one, Ross? Do you want me to?
I'll take a swing at this one. So, like I said earlier, like that's a really good question, actually.
Thank you.
Like I said earlier, I feel like we all definitely bring something to the table, and that doesn't even necessarily relate musically as well. Like Connor's very good at like being business minded, but not like in the way of like this needs done, this like overbearing with it. He's very good at thinking about the bigger picture and like more than just the music.
Yeah.
He's like the kind of manager that isn't a manager.
He's the closest thing to a manager that we have, basically. He's like sort of the de facto at times.
But is that something that you didn't expect, like to do the more business? You mentioned DIY earlier, and that's something that I hear a lot from the Glasgow scene at the moment, DIY or die, you know. So when I interviewed Hellripper, for example, he had all his he had a big huge room, and it was just shots upon shots upon shots with Hellripper, you know. And it's the same with Brainbath, for example. So who does the merch, who does the marketing, who does the social media, and that type of thing?
I think
I tried to do merch for like, I think I lasted maybe 2 weeks, and then I had to give one box of t-shirts, mind you, 50 t-shirts maybe. I had to give it to, I think I gave it to you, Ross, didn't I?
Yeah, because I basically stay like 2 minutes away from a post office, and I think at the time Higgy was only able to go to the post office like, was it your post office was only open like twice a week or something? Yeah.
It's because of work. I could only go once a week, and I was getting in with like big massive stacks of parcels, man.
So you were holding up the pensioners getting their pension and stuff like that, and their fights in the post office. You're just a hooligan. You don't think of anybody else but yourself.
I know, it was mainly a guilt thing, to be honest, you know.
But laughing aside, is what we have to do now, the merch and the social media stuff. So who does that? Is that you, Ross?
I think we all kind of take a turn at the social media.
I don't do the
Um,
Facebook stuff. I don't have Facebook, so
but yeah, I
um,
think
Sometimes
I'm
that's a
more of the
wise decision.
aye,
honest. See, if it wasn't for the bands, I probably
Yeah,
wouldn't have it either.
yeah.
So I'm pretty much like more often than not, it's myself or Connor that's on Facebook, but we all have the Instagram account, so we all like take turns with that and marketing,
it's
the cadaver cometh and stuff like that.
it's funny though because the amount of times that somebody's messaged the Rancid Cadaver Instagram and like I've went to reply to the message and I've replied to it and then I've checked back and somebody else has replied. It's real.
Yeah, so it's like we need to
Half
kind of keep
the time.
we need to kind of keep tabs on each other with that.
Yeah. You were just making sure the question was answered, though, weren't you?
Oh,
Aye,
definitely.
Just making
exactly.
sure.
You get an individual perspective.
Absolutely.
We're kind of like the Beatles or like any boy band. We're all individuals. Not one of us are the same.
But that's what I kind of
Welcome
like
to
compared to like when I was your age, even younger than you guys. You would write a letter to a band and you send a pound note. I don't ever know if you've seen a pound note in your life, but you send a pound note. Yeah, you send a pound note to a band, and a few days later you'll get an envelope and it'll have like a demo tape in it and
Wow.
a letter from the band and stuff like that. And it's great. I've still got like my demos and stuff, but it must be so pleasing to like things like Bandcamp where you can look at reports, find out you've got fans in America. You must have fans like in South America, maybe even the Far East as well, and things like that. Asia, I mean.
Yeah, like
I
even
tend not to. Oh, sorry, Roshu, on you go.
no, I was just gonna say like just back to like posting the merch orders out and like seeing that it's going to like I don't know like somewhere in Arkansas or something. Like I don't know why that was the first place, but you know what I mean. It's like places that you're just like I've
Yeah.
only heard of this place. Like I've never like experienced this. But sorry, Higgy, I had to cut you off there, my man.
Oh, I was just going to say about the Bandcamp thing. Like, I tend not to check the kind of numbers and stuff like that because it's like, yeah, I find you kind of end up like obsessing over it. Like,
Yeah.
oh, how many people are listening and where they're listening from and who's downloaded it. And it's like, I think I stopped checking and I started to see it for myself outside of all the kind of
Yeah.
numbers and stuff, the kind of traction that we've been getting and stuff like that. So I
No, fair
tend to stay
play.
away from that.
No,
It is more
it sounds as if
gratifying.
you're not a sociable person online at all. You don't do Facebook, and you can't be arsed with Bandcamp either. So,
I just
uh,
can't be asked in general, man.
Ross, what's he doing in the band? Does he just turn up at gigs and that's it?
Oh no, he plays a bit of guitar.
He contributes, does
Just a
he?
wee
Aye,
bit.
that's good. That's good.
Man.
I,
He,
don't, I
he
didn't
gives
write any of the songs or anything like that, man.
he gives Rick Ross a run for the money with the whammy.
Well, we're going to be talking about him later on. So stop asking my questions that I've got for later on.
Is it about a certain gig?
That's what I hate about vocalists. But yeah, so going back to the recording of the EP, is there anything about the way that you recorded Flesh Monstrosity that you will continue to use and you have a settled formula, or are you quite open to finding new studios and experiences, or do you think you have that formula and you're happy with that and you'll stick with that for now?
I have a place in mind. I think we briefly spoke about it together. Where we would like to ideally record. I don't know if it would be within kind of budget. No,
Mhm.
it's nothing like wouldn't be anything like fancy, you know.
Mori
But
Sound or Sunlight Studios or anything like that? No.
no. Just don't know. Somewhere's kind of local. But I think I would change a lot of how we went about the recording though. Like we ended up I had to make separate click tracks along with all the guitar tracks for Connor to listen to on headphones while he recorded. And
Okay.
then he started recording and he couldn't hear the click track over the sound of the drums. So we ended up just scratching the click track and just recording without one. So I think I would maybe try and prepare a wee bit more or something like that. But
Yeah.
apart from that, everything else is perfect, you know.
So you're not going to like record it in the various places like Ross said earlier on. You're going to maybe go into a studio this time and spend like a 2 or 3 weekends and get it done that way.
Ideally, that's what I would like to do. We kind of spoke about it briefly, but we're not. Who knows what will happen? We're not that far along, to be honest. So
I
Things
don't
can
believe
change.
you. I don't believe you. I just think you're so goddamn secretive. But as I said, I'm going to get it out of you. I'm getting it out of you.
Being a secretive band goes a long way now. Like, I know they're not death metal, but look at Sleep Token. You know, people are obsessed with them.
God, Sleep Token. Christ. Yeah, you kind of threw me with that because I think I was hoping to talk about that for some time. But so, okay, so say for example, you, Ross, and now that you're the bassist vocalist, are you going to record vocals while you're doing the bass, do you think? Or do you think you're still going to record them separately?
I think definitely still record them separately. Because I want to have like the best performance possible and like have the best like sort of sonic experience. And I think the best way to do that is just to do it separately. It's a tried and true method. Um, I mean, would it be something I'd do? Maybe if we done like a live album or something, you know, like
Yeah.
a location recording. But excuse me. Yeah, I think for a finished product, it definitely has to be the separate tracks. I think.
I think as well, just quickly, the way that we've been recording these demos, is probably going to have something to do with how we'll record whatever's coming next, because we've been trying to just kind of get a live in the room, and this is just like down to like what we've kind of got at hand. So Alistair's got a SM57, I've got an SM57 and a condenser microphone, and we've been going into like a rehearsal studio and just like 3 mics just recording these demos, and it's like a kind of natural live sort of feel.
Yeah.
Whereas like all the demos for Flesh Monstrosity was me sitting in the house at my computer with programmed drums, and everything was like to a metronome and like to a grid and like
Yeah.
robotic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a bit more natural that way.
How do you expect me to ask you questions when you keep everything to yourself, keep it in your chest? You know what I mean? But I'm going to break you. I will break you. But yeah, you talked about like 3 microphones, for example. There's one thing I love seeing in a live band, and it's more than one vocalist. So is this something that you think might happen with Rancid Cadaver? You might have like 2 vocalists. I'm not saying like line by line by line by line or something like that, but maybe a second vocalist at points.
I mean, possibly. In fact, actually, I think actually when we were initially talking about what we were going to do, I'm pretty sure Ali said that he would give vocals a go, or that he would like learn to do vocals. So that's definitely something that could come to fruition.
Yeah.
Because when
he could probably bring his Motley Crue influences in there somewhere, can't he?
Oh, absolutely. Because like I always like seeing bands live that'll like, or you'll hear it live that like all. Well, let me rephrase that. You'll hear on an album, like the vocalist will obviously do all the parts, and he'll do like some layered parts.
Yeah.
Or like he'll like sing a phrase, and somebody will like sing a phrase like in a gap, and then hearing how that happens live. Like I like seeing stuff like that. I kind of do that with Fatal. So I think having that with Cadaver would be pretty cool. And I like sort of and on the other hand, I like the sort of dual vocals as well. Like a band like Conjurer, where the 2 guitarists are doing the vocals, but they have like different ranges. Like one of them's got a lower range, the other one's like a bit higher, and it's like, you know, like stuff like that. I think like it adds something to like the sonic quality of like a live experience.
Yeah, one of the best bands I've ever seen live was Nile. Just the 3 vocalists, it was just absolutely incredible. And a band that are unfortunately no longer with us, Trigger the Bloodshed. I loved seeing that live as well. It's just
that's right.
Good stuff, good stuff, man.
They're one of those bands like I've always heard the name of, but I was like never around for. Like, you know. Which is a shame as well, because like I always look back at times. Like I look back at lineups at that time, and it's like, man, like when Cerebral War were at their peak, it's like, oh, I wish I could have seen that.
I played them last Thursday night because for the last 2 weeks I've done a Scottish extreme metal special because of that article that was in Metal Hammer. I just felt right to show people what is up here in Scotland, and I managed to fill in like a good few hours of quality Scottish metal, and I probably not even scratched the surface.
And it wasn't even like of the current time. It was like it's showing people that like this has always been the case in Scotland.
I mean, the bands when I grew up, it was like Corpse. They were signed to Candlelight Records, who are still going. They were I think they were the only ones that really got a deal, and then you had In Extremis from Stonehaven as well. So it's just it didn't. But I cannot remember the Scottish scene being so good and so vibrant and just ready to take on the world. It's absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very, me personally, I'm very happy to like be part of like the scene as it is at the moment, and to like not only be part of it, but actually be in one of the bands that's like held in a high regard.
Yes,
bringing like almost somewhat of a renaissance to like the old school sound, certainly. Anyway, it's still something that I like that I wrap my head around. Like, holy shit, my band was in Metal Hammer.
That's it. That's it. We've only released one demo, one EP.
Exactly.
There you go.
Especially because we've been very quiet recently and very secretive.
Yes. Well, you still are. You still are.
Oh, yeah.
That's great. Thanks very much for that, guys. But we're now going to talk about the visual side of Flesh Monstrosity. Now, you hadn't released a video to coincide with the EP there. Is that something that you feel that you're going to remedy with the next release? Do you think you're going to do, I don't know, whether a lyric video or whether, I don't know, you might find a forest somewhere and you just record a video with lights behind you and all that kind of stuff? Is there a guy that's in the band that's got the visual ideas?
I think that's definitely, it's definitely something we're definitely planning on branching out more. A lot more of like the multimedia facets of Cadaver, because the music, we've kind of established ourselves a bit in that sense.
Yeah.
But we're always like seeing the bigger picture, like we've spoke about. 2 seconds, man. That was pretty bloody. Sorry. Sorry.
Didn't realise you were wearing makeup.
Yeah, no, I know. Stuck it on just for this interview, man. I had to look the part,
Absolutely.
Frontman.
Absolutely.
Frontman and all. I'm still getting used to this whole, vocalist, sense of self-importance thing. I'll never happen. But yeah, I think we all see Cadaver as like something that can definitely be more than just about the music, as pretentious as that sounds. Like, we do want to do like this sort of like different multimedia aspects, even like the live shows. Like, I've got concepts for like, how we present ourselves as a live band and stuff as well. I'm not about to say that we're gonna jump on stage in masks and shit, but
you never know.
There's definitely, there's definitely, time. There's stuff that I think, or maybe in a few years' time, our sound would evolve to the point where doing this would add to the overall experience of like the show as opposed to just the music. But then again, I like the concept as well of like the music just kind of speaking for itself. So,
yeah, remember the underground, man. Remember the underground. But yeah, so I mean, it always comes down to the pound sign, doesn't it? Because even for a lyric video, it's not cheap. But I definitely think it's something that has to be looked at if you want to get to the next level. And who knows, if you've got a label, which I know that you're not going to tell me about, you might get a financial backing from them. Who knows? But yeah, you might just have to take the gamble. You might just have to take.
I don't know about a lyric video because I don't even know the lyrics. So
yeah,
maybe we do need one. So
so it could help us.
So what we're saying is that he's not going to be the second vocalist in the band then because he doesn't know the lyrics.
Exactly.
I was up for trying it, man. Mind? I was up for trying it.
Wait, actually, I didn't even know.
I actually can't. I couldn't do it.
Oh well.
So.
But then it is death metal, because like sometimes I forget our lyrics, and luckily it is death metal.
You just growl.
And that's not a knock on death metal, but
Aye.
Kind of similar to the subject. Did you ever see that Crepitation lyric video where it is literally, because they don't have lyrics, they just make the noises, and the lyrics video is literally just written out like the words. It's like, yeah, exactly. It's like blur 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 blur, and it's like just blur 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 blur. It's like
brilliant.
OE, and it's just like OUE and shit.
But you know something? That's what catches attention. You know, you just have to think of that one thing, and that brings everybody to watch this video or whatever like that. You know, so you just have to think of something that's a wee bit different. But Kieran, I was just wondering if you're the type of guy that would send Alistair riffs at 4 o'clock in the morning, saying that this is the best riff I've ever written. Here, you need to listen to this.
Oh yeah, but I wouldn't really say it was like one riff. Usually it's like an entire song, and there's drums and stuff, and I'll send them it, and I'm like, usually I'll take like snippets.
Yeah.
So I'll export just like 30 seconds of what I've got, and I'll send it as a voice message on Messenger, and then I'll be, oh, listen to this, and then I'll send him the full thing. So he's had the full thing in little snippets, and then he's got the final product.
But do you do it at a respectable time, or is it 4 o'clock in the morning?
Well, with Flesh Monstrosity, I think it was, but I've got a bit more of a life now, so.
Bear in mind, like, we were like just coming out of like the sort of, we were just coming out of like the restrictions with regards to the pandemic and that, so I think we're all still adjusting to pre-COVID life, or post-COVID life as we knew it, so still a bit of restless nights and stuff, and just getting a great idea at like 4 in the morning.
I'm sorry.
Like this time round, it's been a lot different. Like, I think Flesh Monstrosity, I wrote 4 of the songs, and then we wrote Dragged Beneath as a band.
Yeah.
And here's a like stupid fact for you as well. So the song Malignant Affliction, that was actually written by, I typed random numbers into Guitar Pro one night, and then I learned it. And then I recorded it because I thought it sounded cool, and then it became...
You know what? It does sound fucking cool. That's the thing. So it worked. So maybe that... So why is it taking you a year and a half to write a friggin' EP or an album? You could have done that in one night, could you not?
Sheer laziness.
And the truth shall set you free.
Nah, but we're doing it different this time round, man. It's been a lot more like getting all the guys in the same room and kind of sitting down and just kind of fucking about until we come up with something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that kind of plays into what I was saying earlier on about how there's all different sort of elements, and there's going to be different sort of elements with this new release now, because I think everyone's a lot more hands-on with it, and everyone's bringing, more of their own stuff to the table now, and there's a lot more of we're writing it more as like a band. Like, we're still doing like, well, we've still got some pre-Flesh stuff, like Higgy says, like, I'll bring like a song or like a body of a song to the guys and be like, what do you think of this? Would you chop and change anything? And then we just kind of, repetition, see what works best, and then just, I think we all definitely have ideas, and it's just, putting it all into practice, like when we're all actually in the same room together.
Yeah. I was going to talk about that in a couple of questions, but I'll come back to that. But thank you very much for that. But going back to Massive Gore, there was also some brand new artwork. So would you like to tell us who done it for you? And what I'm interested in is, because you're saying that you don't have anything concrete, so what ideas did you give the artist to do X, Y, and Z? Like, did you give them lyrics to a song? Did you give them the song titles? Did you give them the riffs that you've already written? Or did you just give them free rein? This is what's in my head. See what you can draw.
Well, basically, we approached our friend Matthew, who people might know as Bozza Art, a really good artist in the scene. I think he's done merch for pretty much all the bands and all the death metal bands anyway.
Yeah.
We approached him, and I can't quite remember what the concept we had was, because we did definitely send them like what was it again, Kieran? Like we sent them like
I think the concept was to have like this kind of creature, the Rancid Cadaver type thing, and it's just like a kind of scene of gore
he's like,
and
it's
horror.
just like it's just coming back up from the earth, and you know, there's like all the carnage that he's left in his wake, and then he's coming back up to basically claim more.
Yeah. I was hoping, just when you said that, you sent him all this stuff, I was hoping you were going to say something like 8 songs, and then I was going to jump in and say, it's an album then. It's an album. But
we don't even know how many songs it's going to be.
Well, do you know, that's what I think I've already called the article the most secretive band in the world, Rancid Cadaver, interview with blah, 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 blah.
Well, that's actually, you know, a lot of people might see, like, because like we were one of the 5 bands that were named in that that Metal Hammer article, but we were the only one out of the 5 that never got an interview. But I'm seeing that as a positive, because I'm thinking, right, people will see the name Rancid Cadaver, and it will just be like the link to our Bandcamp, and then they'll think, oh, we didn't hear from Rancid Cadaver. What are these guys like? That's more people coming to check our socials. That's more people listening to our music to figure out what's going on. And it's like, oh, I wonder if they've, you know, done any other interviews, you know. So I'm seeing it as like a positive in that sense, that, you know, our lack of input in that, because we didn't even know we were going to get mentioned in that, to be perfectly honest with you.
That was just a nice wee treat, man. I was at work and I checked my phone. Connor's like, here, we're in Metal Hammer, by the way. And I was like, what?
Do you know, it's all good and well that you're in Metal Hammer, but you're pissing me off because you don't tell me anything. But yeah.
Right, but you know what that means, mate? You got to bring us back. Like, you got to bring us back when everything's like...
You know exactly where I am. You know exactly. I'm more than happy to talk to you guys.
Yeah, we will happily talk turkey when it comes to like everything's released, and then we can give you all the scoops that you're after, my man.
Do you know, I haven't reviewed an album or an EP, I better say that then. It must be over a year. I'm just like, I don't have time for it anymore. I've got the radio show and I do these interviews. I just don't have time for it, but I might come out from my retirement for this. As long as you tell me what you've friggin' got, and I definitely will.
So what was the last release you reviewed?
Christ, I couldn't even tell you it was that long ago. But I remember...
He's playing it as our own game, mate. He's playing it as our own game. He's not going to tell us.
He's good, that guy. He's good. Yes. But yeah, I mean, since my journey in doing this, I've interviewed glam bands, I've interviewed traditional heavy metal bands, and slowly but surely got into the scene that I've been wanting to get into, you know. So it was probably, I think it was a single actually. It was just like a single review. I just don't have time to write reviews for an album. So if you send me an album review, you see what I tried there? Okay. If it's an EP, I will do it for you.
No, but like, I know what you mean, because like, and it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier about how the 10 singles versus one album thing, because it's like, if you hear it's like an album.
I'm not going to do 10 reviews for you. You're not going to send me a single every month, and I'm going to have to review it for you. I'm not doing that.
No, it wouldn't be every month, man. Maybe one a year.
But you know what I would like to do? I would like to do, like, if I had the confidence to do the reviews on a 4 or 5 minute video, you know, so I just need to practice it more. But again, it's just down to time. Because finding new music for my radio show every week, it's not easy. It's not easy. I used to do 3 hours, so I needed to find 30 songs of new music, and it's not easy, you know what I mean? But anyway, we're going to talk about Rancid Cadaver. So, yeah, we've kind of talked about this a wee bit. But how were the songs constructed for this release then, right? So are they the main songwriters to the songs, or did all members contribute? But how would you say you keep it all together, for example, when negotiating what stays in and what goes out of a song? I'm just wondering if there's a moody guy in the band. Is there a guy that's hardest to please? Is it got to be perfect? Does somebody say, I've got the best riff ever, and you guys go nut, and then he just goes in a huff and sits in the corner?
Honestly, there's nothing like that
Yeah.
in here, because like even if it isn't something that we agree with, we do it in like a sort of, you know, constructive way, or a way that we can, you know, still incorporate what that person's written, but also put like a full band spin on it.
Yeah.
It's like I write stuff for Cadaver, and in my head I'm kind of like, man, I don't know if these guys are gonna like it, because I respect everyone in this band's opinion so much that it can sometimes feel like I'm writing for someone else. But then it's just, you know, getting out of that headspace and thinking, right, well, if I present this to them, they'll, you know, help me. They'll help me see the bigger picture, like as a band, as opposed to just four individuals that have opinions of a song. It's like, rather than having four separate opinions of a song, it's like one cohesive setting, one cohesive opinion as a band. It's basically try to figure out what's going to work for the betterment of the overall product.
Yeah.
Aye. I think as well, last time round, it was a lot more like I had hundreds of tunes written. A lot of them didn't make the cut, so that's why there was only an EP, obviously.
See how you mentioned that. See how you said you like hundreds of things written. Are you still bringing any of these ideas to this new material then?
Well, actually, the very, very, very first riff that I'd ever wrote for Cadaver has made a return. So there's that. But we've only taken that one riff, and we've changed the rest of the song.
Well, you're like, I'm going to fit this bastard in somewhere. I'm going to make sure it's in this release.
It wasn't even me, to be fair. It was Ali. Ali kept saying, "That riff, man, we need to do something with that riff. We need to do something with that."
Yeah. He was a very big fan of that.
You know the riff I'm talking about, Ross, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Because like Ali was, I think that's what pretty much sold Ali on like joining, if not to be honest. Because like him and Connor were still in. Him and Connor and Lee were all still in Vass. I think Vass split up like maybe a couple of weeks after they joined, but we didn't announce Cadaver's formation until like a month after Vass split up.
Yeah.
So there's another exclusive.
Yeah.
I mean, Ali texted me and he said, what tuning are all these songs in, by the way? So I can learn them. And I said, oh, they're all in like standard A. And he went, oh, that's perfect. That's what Bass played in. So I'll just get them all learned. So
we could do both. It's like, man, thinking now, like imagine a world where Bass and Cadaver like both existed in harmony, but unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, definitely. But it was a question. It nicely leads on to yourself, Ross. Like you're in Fail Collision as well, but you're saying that you bring some music to Rancid. How do you just sit down and say, right, tonight I'm going to do Fatal, or tonight I'm going to do Rancid, or do you play a riff and think, oh, that might, you play Rancid and oh wait, man, that might actually fit into Fatal?
Kind of a wee like more so now, a bit of both. Like basically, like the stuff that I've brought forward for Cadaver, excuse me, is stuff that I've had written for, or I've had like the sort of gist of it written for years.
Yeah.
But because like I always used to write death metal songs in my house just by myself, and then I've like chopped and changed it over the years, and then even bringing it to Cadaver, like having the sort of influence that Cadaver has and using that to like influence how the song sounds now, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like I've like basically reworked the song, you know, in my head thinking, right, I'll rework this to make it sound like a Cadaver song. So that's been very good in a sense. But when it comes to Fatal, I'll be honest, like Grum writes a majority of the Fatal stuff, but I definitely want to try and like, especially now that I'm playing guitar, I want to like, you know, focus on properly writing Fatal, because most of the time I like actually end up just playing guitar. Like nowadays I seem to practice guitar way more than I practice bass, and I've been a bass player predominantly for like over a decade. So
Can
it's
you, can you
kind of weird
play
now.
solos?
No.
You'll always
I'm
be a
very
rhythm
much-
I can't
guitarist.
either.
I'm very much that. I'm very much that Steph Carpenter Deftones influence of just 7th and 9th chords, and that's all I'll ever need. I can like maybe have like a nice bluesy pentatonic here and there, but I'm very much a rhythm player. But I like it that way. I like doing that.
Mate, don't geese it, man. This guy writes riffs that none. I didn't know that Ross could even play guitar, right? Like before, right? And this guy's like, "Oh yeah, we've got this fucking riff, man," and none of us could play it.
Oh, was that
None of
the?
us could play it.
Was that the? Yeah.
Mate, you just gave a riff away, what you did.
Oh no. Okay, so there's a.
That's an exclusive. Go on, ladies. End of interview.
There you go. There you go. We've checked the mark. We've ticked it off.
I was talking about we used to play this song live. It never got recorded, but it was a song called Bubbling Souls that Ross wrote the entirety of, and me
That
and
is the riff.
Ali really struggled to play. Oh, was it?
Yeah, that was
I
the
thought
riff.
you were talking about. I thought you were talking about something else, mate.
No, it's like it's like try playing that on
Aye.
bass, mate. I wrote that on guitar as a bass player. That was my first mistake. It kind of goes back to what your question was, Ricky. Yeah, like it was like I sat down and wrote like because that was like a song that I had like in my head for long before Cadaver was even a concept. So it's like writing that now, like
Yeah.
and thinking how am I going to make this into a Cadaver song. So I kind of like do to answer your question, I do like sit down and I'll think, right, what can I make sound like a Cadaver song? And then with Fatal as well, especially now that I'm playing guitar, now I'm thinking to myself, right, okay, what's gonna sound good as a Fatal song? And then there's even times where I'll just play like riffs that could sound like a Cadaver riff on my 6-string that's tuned to D sharp standard, which is the tuning that Fatal plays in. So I'm essentially just playing the same riffs in a different tuning, and that could work.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does work. But yes, it's something that I'm trying to get a bit better at, like writing for 2 bands. I'm working on it.
You're just a tart. But anyway, with yourself being the vocalist, Ross, do you write all the lyrics for the band, or do you sometimes get contributions from other members of the band, or do you write all the lyrics?
So the lyrics for Flesh, of course, notwithstanding, because that was all Lee.
Yeah.
I've definitely written lyrics. Like I've got lyrics written down, but I don't think I'm a great lyricist, like at all. So I definitely, I'm definitely looking to get like an opinion on it with the rest of the guys. And honestly, a couple of the guys have written their own fair share of lyrics as well. So, we're all like, it's the same with the music as well. We've all got our own. We've all got our own input with like, like I'll maybe think of a drum part that Connor can play, or Higgy will think of something that will sound good on bass, or like Ali will think of like a vocal line. Like we all, like musically and lyrically, I think we've all definitely got a hand in it. Because like I mentioned, like a couple of the guys in the band have taken a stab at written lyrics, and they've actually been pretty good.
Yeah.
I know I'm saying that as somebody who doesn't really believe in themselves as a lyricist, but yeah, I think like we all, it just comes back around to doing things as a band, like.
Aye, there is a lot of input from like each other, you know what I mean? So it's like kind of there's often a lot of like we'll jam out songs together, and then I'll be like, oh Connor, actually, why don't you do a drum bit? Like it sounds like this after it, and then I'll do this over it, and then Ali can play this, and I just kind of. So that's the way it's been this time round. It's kind of growing arms and legs, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I've brought like lyrical concepts. Like I more so think about like concepts for songs. So it's definitely like one thing that I think one thing that I will say when regards to this new release,
You're not going to sing about knights and swords and dragons, are you?
Oh no, none of that. Like, I'm not going to sing about fucking goblins or whatever. But I think one thing I can say is for this next release, I don't want every song to just be about like
blood and gore.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, don't get me wrong.
There's a place for it.
They have the place. It's like, yeah, it's death metal. It's like little horror movies condensed into like tunes. But there's more like there's different sort of concepts, or even songs that do involve like the blood and gore. Like I want it as like as like a different perspective instead of like a guy that's just a maniac killing people.
Yeah,
I want to like write stuff like, for example, like write it from the perspective of somebody that's killing somebody, but the person that he's killing is evil. Does that make sense? It's like killing somebody for the greater good, or like causing harm to somebody for the greater good, as opposed to just
Do you know, I was going to ask like what I was going to ask about your lyrical themes, because I just wondered because it's kind of adding a wee bit of pressure on you guys, because with Lee and Flesh Monstrosity, he took care of it all because it is a talent, but now it's now down to you guys. I just wondered if you've always got a pad and a bit of a pen with you or something like that. You open the door and you see something on the street and you write it down and you go back to it later on, or whether you watch horror movies, or whether you watch a lot of war documentaries, or whether you read a lot of books or something like that. I was just interested to see where your lyrical themes were coming from.
I definitely like the idea of like looking at other assets of media, like horror and even books and stuff, or even like just going out and just being in nature. Like I like the idea of like, I listen to a lot of bands that like have songs about nature, like a lot of like atmospheric bands of that sort, like Agalloch and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I love like concepts like that as well, and it's just stuff like, man, you can go out, and we live in Scotland, it's the most beautiful country in the world. You can go out and see like amazing stuff.
A band I recommend to you is Hand of Caliac. They're from Edinburgh.
Hand of Caliac, I'll remember that.
Yeah. It's like folk, but they've got like death growls in there. So it's a husband and wife, and they're absolutely incredible. But they just sing about Scottish history and Gaelic history and stuff like that. And it's all about Scotland. It's just absolutely incredible. So Hand of Caliac. So go and check it out.
I'll definitely check that out, man, because I'm into like a lot of like that sort of stuff. Like like a lot of like stuff outside of death metal. Like I mentioned Agalloch. Stuff like that. It's just brilliant to me, and it's amazing that you can like a piece of like, just like what you're saying, like going out your doorstep, seeing something, like inspiration can hit at any given moment.
Yeah. And
I know it's like death metal, and like some stuff can be cliche and that. That's not a knock on death metal. I can love it, but it's just bringing something a little bit different to the table, I guess.
As long as you do something like Bloodthread and Fuck the Tories and stuff like that. So
that's right.
I tried my hand at writing some lyrics, man, and it ended up reading like a Dr. Seuss kind of story type thing, man. So
did you say, Ross, thanks very much for your contribution yet again, Kieran, and just filed it under BIN?
Yeah, I very much did the Ringo. It was very much the Ringo Starr writes a song where I'm just like, right, I'm going to put this right in the fridge.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. So I've only got a few questions, guys. Thank you very much for coming on. We definitely are going to go into a third segment of this, because I'm going to be talking about. In fact, I'm going to be bloody secretive. I'm not telling you what I'm going to be talking about in a minute. So would you record? Would you rehearse your songs? How often do you get together? Are you quite close? Are you quite close knit, so it's easy to get together?
It's actually funny because like I've actually not been able to attend the last couple of practices, and ironically they've been becoming a lot more frequent as well. I know it's that.
Do you think they're talking about you behind your back, Ross?
Oh, definitely. I'm the front man, so it's like, oh man, Ross trolling about the stage. He's not even that good. Nah, I doubt it. But practices have been becoming a lot more frequent. We used to do it in Carlton, and then we moved to Empire, but I think they've recently had like an issue with like flooding. So we've been following the tried and true blueprint of going to Audio Lounge in Maryhill, which is, you know, just fantastic place to just jam and even record, and they even do live shows, which we've played in Audio Lounge twice at this point.
Yeah.
So we've been going there, and 3 out of the 4 of us, everyone in the band except Connor drives. So we're able to like bring the stuff. We could bring the 2 6505s now. So I think like
They've got the big full stack amps in there as well in one of the rooms, man. So like you get the 6505 up there on the full stacks, and it's unreal, man.
Well, maybe that's what we can do. The editor has got microphones, so maybe I done it with Ramage Inc. Maybe when you're in the studio, I can bring my microphones and we can construct an interview in the studio.
All right, okay.
We can do something like that. Who the hell knows? Because it'll be interesting to see it all.
I like the idea. I like the idea of doing that, like down the line when we're like properly in like the meat and potatoes of like this process.
So you know who knew it yet then?
Nah.
I'll get it.
Again, we need to pick
No
up.
comment.
I'll get it out you.
Stay tuned for section 3, lads.
No worries. We're on to our last segment, guys. I promise. But the last time I saw you guys, it was supporting Left to Die. So you must have met some of your idols that night, especially Terry Butler and Rick Ross. But not forgetting the guys from Gruesome as well. So how the hell was that night for you, being backstage with those guys?
Do you know how crazy it is to actually watch them sound check, pull the plug, and you're just standing 10 feet away? In fact, I sent a video to my girlfriend. I sent a video of like just them sound checking, and I just turned the camera around to me. I'm just like, what is happening, man? Like,
yeah.
It's just, it's crazy, man. Because I seen the first time Obituary, you mentioned Terry Butler, like the first time I seen Obituary was 2015 at Lords of the Land. I was 17.
I was there.
And truthfully, I wasn't even a massive fan of Obituary. Like when I first heard them, I was kind of like, they're okay. See, after seeing them live, I was like, holy shit.
Kieran, I don't like him. How dare he? Now, to be fair, I think the last good album that Obituary released was, I still like a wee bit of World Demise, but it was the Incomplete. But Cause of Death is my favourite death metal album of all time, mainly because of James Murphy. Anything with James Murphy on it, God.
That kind of opening solo on Infected, man, that's...
Yeah, man.
It's just absolutely outstanding. But yeah, so Left to Die, but that was in the past. But now that the doors have opened to playing live again, are you guys taking like 4, 5, 6 months out, or do you have any gigs in the future? And before you answer that, yes, I know you have a gig in January, but I'm just wondering if you do have any other gigs in the pipeline, or are you just going to concentrate on recording at the moment?
Ross, you can answer this one, man.
So I think we had some stuff in the pipeline, but for one reason or another, it's just fallen through, not worked out. But I think as a band, we're kind of being like, right, well, we should probably take some, because like we have actually, I think even earlier on in the year, we were like, yeah, let's just take a bit of time away from like playing live. Don't get me wrong, I love playing live. It's the best feeling.
Because you're pretty much like Brain Bath. Any Glasgow death metal gigs, you guys were on the bill, you know. There's only so many times people can hear Flesh Monstrosity and people go, all right, I'll see them.
That's exactly what we're thinking.
And it's like, it's that constant just, I'll see them next time. And it's like, there's not even, a next time hasn't even been announced. But it's just, I think I can say personally, like, I really want it to be like worth the wait. Like, I want it to be like, you know, maybe getting ahead of myself a wee bit, but like, I want it whenever Cadaver are playing a hometown show, I want it to be like special. I want it to like mean something. Like, no disrespect to like, you know, any bands or whatever, any bands, but I don't want it to be like we're just on any random lineup for the sake of playing it. Like I want us to feel like we have like the Left to Die gig. Like I feel like, not trying to shag my own arse, but I feel like we did definitely earn that slot. And like, you know, supporting like these touring bands, and then obviously eventually getting to like the stages where we're going to be where we'd be headlining. You know, I've got like, it goes back to what you were saying in the previous section of just what's the, you know, vision looking like in the future. Like that's definitely, we've all got a clear picture of like where we think we can get to, where we would like to get to, and how we're going to get about, you know, bridging the gap between those two.
Something tells me you're becoming more of a serious band now. What's going on? It's as if you've joined a band to make money.
No, not at all.
I was thinking I should maybe join a band or start a band if that was the case.
Trust me, mate, you will not make money. Like we all work full-time jobs.
Yeah,
so, you know.
yeah. But the way things are just now, and because you're being so goddamn secretive, but I know that you've played gigs recently. Slime Lord, for example, and stuff like that. But I was just wondering if you've got your set list in front of you. You might have a 30 minute set, 30 minutes set, say. Is there, you've got your 6, 7, 8 songs on the sheet in front of you. What song, and I'll ask the both of you, this is the song that you're most looking forward to playing live, and why? So I'm going to ask Kieran first. So you've got the set list in front of you. What song are you looking forward to playing the most? Why?
Well, I'll give you like 2 answers to this, because it would have been Flesh Monstrosity, the opening track.
Yeah.
Just because I remember writing that riff. I had came home from uni and it was kind of in my head on the train, and I came home and just straight away just started recording it and adding different bits to it and stuff. And still, like the little, it goes back to the whole playing with Left to Die kind of thing, like the whole Rick Ross kind of solo type thing at the start with like the trill with the whammy bar and all the dive bombs and stuff like that. I love playing that. I don't want to like overdo it, but I do really like that part of it, and also just that opening and closing riff. I just think is just great, man. I just love playing it. But since we started playing the new song live, I'd have to say that, because we were talking about this the other day when we were all together. It's just simple and it's just really fun to play, man. It's like
it allows you to headbang. You don't need to think about your 10 riffs per second or anything like that. You can headbang to it.
Yeah, pretty much, man. I mean, it goes back to that thing of like, it's a Rancid Cadaver song, you know what I mean? It's to me, it kind of sounds like a follow-up to kind of like Genetic Enhancement in a way. The way that song is, kind of like chuggy, groovy kind of type riffs, you know.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Cool. No, thanks for that. But before I go to you, Ross, going back to that night we Left to Die, I'm hoping that they actually watched you play. Did they give you any feedback that night? Did they say that you guys were on form and good luck for the future and stuff like that, or did you get any?
I never really got. We never really got so much that, but when I was leaving the venue that night, I was walking past Rick Ross, and I said to him like, "Oh, great set, mate. That was really good." And then he was just saying like, "Oh, thanks, man." And like one thing that stuck out to me that he did say was, you know, "Thanks, man. Keep at it, man, and just, you know, stick at it, man." Like he said something along those lines. He was just like, "Oh, thanks, man. Keep at it, man. Hope it goes well for you." And it's like hearing that, like I'm kind of thinking, oh, because I don't know if they did watch us, to be honest, but hearing that, I was just like, you know, that was pretty cool, because like obviously, you know, Death started like that, you know. Obviously they're like the godfathers of death metal, but like every band has been that way. So I guess it was kind of.
I still love his solos on Leprosy. I still love his solos on Leprosy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Me too.
I guess it was kind of like, you know, knowing that he was still humble enough to like say that. Like, he could have just said, "Oh, cheers, man," but it's the fact that he added that extra, like, "Good luck to you." Like, I hope it goes well for you.
Yeah.
Like, that was
No.
that made me like think like you're doing the right thing.
Aye, I think he spoke to Ali that night. I'm pretty sure. I think Ali might have got a picture of him, and then
He
he
did.
said something to Ali about like, "Oh, like I really enjoyed you guys," kind of thing, man. And it was like,
Did he say you're a better
and-
guitarist than Kieran?
well, everybody knows it. Don't you rub
No,
it in,
no.
man. Hopefully,
Nah.
hopefully he doesn't notice that I ripped him off, man.
Nah, good stuff, good stuff. So, Ross, what's your song that you like to play live? Now
Well,
that
like-
you're a bassist vocalist.
When it comes to playing bass, Malignant, because I like that it's like a little bit more on like the sort of technical side of it, because I like being able to like dance about the fretboards as well as I can. But as like a vocalist as well, oh god, I like the new song because I like Massive Gore. I like doing that. I like doing Genetic Enhancement because like during that breakdown bit, I could just proper like I could just sound like I'm just digimorphing into something, just into another entity, which is basically what the song's about. Which is why I do like those long drawn out screams. It's almost like I'm getting devoured by something and then just regurgitated as something else.
So how do you keep
You're
your
getting
vocals?
genetically enhanced.
Yeah.
How do you keep your vocals in check then? Like, I don't know whether you sing in the shower or you sing in the car or anything like that, or whether you've got a wee room in your home studio or something like that.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you mention that because, like, and this kind of goes back to like me saying, "Oh, I'll give vocals a bash," because I was never really much of a vocalist at all. It was like I had like the basics down and that was it. But for one reason or another, I just thought to myself, I don't know, man. I don't think I could ever. I don't think I could ever see myself doing it. And then I tried it with, like I mentioned a few sections ago, I did try it and it worked. And
Yeah.
now I feel like I should like do like I should definitely keep on top of the techniques and practicing it. Because even when we're practicing in the rehearsal space, I don't really do vocals that much because I just feel like I'm pushing my voice more because I can't hear myself. Whereas live, I can hear myself perfectly, so I can like.
Do you have any pre-stage rituals? Do re mi fa sol la ti do or anything like that? Or?
I will like I will just I'll just like make like that sort of I'll like sigh. I'll basically do like, but I'll make sure I've got that part because it's like coming from the diaphragm, and then I'll just build on that. Just kind of, I won't like drink any like juice or anything before it.
Well, I interviewed Carl Willits, and he says he has 20 fags and 6 cans of beer before he goes on stage.
Oh no, I drink beer before, obviously, but no like Coke or anything like that, like Coca-Cola. Nothing like that, like juice or anything like that. I won't have that because I know what that could be like.
I'm glad you cleared that up there. I'm glad you cleared that up. But this is the last question, guys. Like I said, I thank you very much for your time. But this could lead on to another 40-minute discussion. Because I'm going to talk about the instruments. Now, you see, this is where it's so much easier to interview after you've released something. But I don't know whether I'll go back to Flesh Monstrosity or whether you're going to, that the instruments that you're going to use to record your next release. So what instruments are you taking to your next release then? And what's your setup? What's your amps? What's your pedals? Blah, 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 blah. So Kieran, we may as well go with you.
Well, I've pretty much had the same setup since like before the band. I've got me and Ali both have the same amp.
Sorry, Kieran, but Ross, all the way throughout this interview, I'm getting the hunch that he's quite lazy. He doesn't change anything.
He sticks to what he knows, man. He sticks to a formula, winning formula.
Mate, it works. 6505 is the best amp. I'm not going to buy another amp, man.
Mate,
You know.
he's got a 6505 and a 6505 mini.
Yeah. Which I'm going to give that to Ross. To be fair.
Aye. I was thinking that you were looking for a sponsorship deal.
Hopefully, well, that brings me on to what I was going to say. Jackson guitars, man. So,
do you have it
so
there?
I've got my six. I've got one of them's away over the other side of the room. The other one's in my car. But I've got the. I mean, if MD's seen us live, they'll see like the Jackson Warrior.
Yeah.
The kind of pointy shaped one. I've had that since 2019. That's been like my go-to guitar. Recently I've taken I did an EMG 81 in the bridge and an EMG 85 in the neck. And I took the bridge pickup out and I put the neck pickup in the bridge. And I used that for the Slime Lord gig. And it sounds amazing, man.
Yeah.
It's just unreal. And then a few weeks ago I just bought a 1994 Jackson Concept Dinky, which
with
is
the reverse headstock.
7-year older than me. 7-year older than me, aye. Reverse headstock.
How did you come by that?
I just seen it online, man. I've been looking for a Dinky for years, but I could just never find one that I liked. It had to have a Floyd Rose, obviously, and I wanted a reverse headstock, and I've seen one at a reasonable price, and I just thought, fuck it, man. So I went and got it. I put my EMG 81 in the bridge of that.
Did you not get any grief from the missus saying like, what's happening to my holiday then in the Algarve or something? No.
Oh, not quite. Not quite. It was just kind of showed up, you know.
Right.
I've always had this guitar. No, but so I got that. So that's still to make an appearance at gigs and stuff. But I'll definitely be getting used on whatever is coming next.
Yeah, fly get, man, fly get. So say you go on a week-long tour then, like, so is that the two guitars that you would take with you on a week-long tour?
Yeah, I mean, I had to get a second guitar because I was thinking, especially with the Floyd Rose, if I went to a gig and something went wrong with that guitar,
you broke a string,
because like not many other bands play in standard A, you know what I mean? And it's not as if I could probably borrow a guitar off Ali, but I'm not much a 7-string player. He plays all the 7-string guitars, man. I'm just
he's got like I think he's got 2 7-string solars.
Yeah.
No, Ali does.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Ali's, that's what I'm saying. Ali's got 2 7-string solars, don't they?
Aye, they're beautiful guitars, man. But me and him have pretty much got an identical setup, man. Like, I'm not sure about his pedal board, but
you've got the same. You've got the same noise suppressors.
Well, do you know, Kieran? I'm looking at you, and I see you as being the geek of the band, and you've got like 40 pedals in your board and stuff like that. Is that right?
No, well, not quite. I've got everything that's on my pedal board stays on. So, well, except I've got a delay pedal. So I've got a noise suppressor that stays on, and then the tuner, obviously, which doesn't really get used. And then I go into a tube screamer, a mini tube screamer, which I'm basically just using to boost the kind of amp. And then in the effects loop, I have an EQ pedal, which I've set to almost imitate the sound of like an HM2 in a way. Just very subtly. And I've also got a delay pedal, which I use for the little kind of whammy solo things. And that's about it. It's very, very simple. I think Ali's pretty much the same, except he's got maybe like another drive and another delay kind of thing for his leads.
Yeah.
No, fair play. It's simple, but it works. I'll tell you that. Thanks very much for that, Kieran. So what about you, Ross? Like, what's your bass setup? But also with you being a vocalist, I'm interested to know, like, as this is new territory for you, have you like went through a range of microphones to find the microphone that you like the particular sound of, or you just like give me an SM58 and I'll fucking sing in it?
Basically the latter. Like pretty much every gig and near enough every practice, I've used an SM58.
Good.
Although when I was in college doing sound engineering, we had SM58As, which had like a different polar pattern, so it was better for like feedback and that.
Okay.
Or lack of, it was better to like eliminate feedback. So I'd be keen to try that out, but I basically just in-house 58. Can I whack it? But, as for bass, and I don't know, and for like effects as well, I only have like a wee bit of reverb. Well, I say a wee bit. I have like a decent amount of reverb, but I don't want to be like drowned in it. Do you know what I mean? I still want like my natural, my natural vocal to come through. But when it comes to bass, I use an Ibanez K5, which for any nu metal fans, obviously is the bass of Fieldy from Korn. And I love that bass. It is. I got it secondhand like 10 years ago, and honestly, between that and my Jazzmaster, if I had to sell all of my instruments and only keep one, it would be between those two. And yeah, I love Ibanez basses. Like I've got 3 sound gear basses. I mean, the K5's technically a sound gear bass.
What made you pick up the bass? What made you not become a guitarist? Or like, what made you pick up the bass?
Honestly, like I think at the time, a lot of people were like just focusing on guitar, and like I don't know, man. I was like kind of like I don't like the idea of bass, and then I heard Hammer Smashed Face for the first time, and that was obviously like right, okay, well, of course I'm just gonna pick up bass because like I couldn't believe like that was a bass. Like I couldn't, I'd never heard anything like it at the time.
Yeah.
So that's really what made me pick it up. And then I got the K5 a year later. The reason why I love it so much is because like it has that sweepable mid range, so I can boost the mids I can boost the mids from the preamp of that bass, and that's pretty much when I get like my mid range tone. Especially because Higgy alluded to it as well. Like him and Ali like have like a fairly scooped sound. So
Yeah.
for me personally, when it comes to death metal, boosting your mids is just like when it comes to bass, just winning formula. And I can do
Sounds as
that
if he wants to be heard, Kieran.
exactly.
Yes. Well, that talking about the kind of scooped sound, that's my whole thing. Like, kind of Harmony, Corruption, Napalm Death kind of guitar sound.
My favourite album by
Like
Napalm.
that's what a death metal guitar should sound like. And I remember because everybody is always getting on at me for scoop. Like my mids on my amp are set to 0, just no mids. And
Yeah.
I remember we were sound checking in the Icebox, and we were sound checking, and there was a few people just kind of kicking about, and I was saying to the sound guy, "Oh, can I get more kind of guitar in my monitor, like of myself, because I can't hear myself?" And some guy goes like, "Oh, well, maybe if you didn't scoop the mids, you'd be able to hear yourself, man." That fucking annoyed me. Like, fuck off. I'll scoop my mids if I want to scoop my mids.
Damn right, because if you don't skip your mids, how are they going to hear the bass?
Oh.
Exactly, it's all for you. It's all for you, mate.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's my whole thing. Like I'm very much like I love the bass being prominent, especially in death metal. So I have the K5, and
He thinks he's Steve DiGiorgio. That's who he thinks he is.
Oh mate, no, I've got a fretless, and I still can't fucking.
You're like the Les Claypool of death metal.
Mate.
Don't mate. I fucking love Primus. So like, and I honestly learning Primus songs made me a better bass player. So like, I very much take massive influence from Les Claypool.
Yeah.
But, as far as pedals go, I just run into a tuner. Don't need that. I run into an EBS multi-comp compressor, and that's a really good. It's the only bass compressor where I've actually like heard a sonic like difference. And it was yeah, it's really good. I have it in the multi-band setting and gain 50. No, compression 50, gain 75, and that kind of just levels out the sound, like keeps everything at a very consistent level. When I do like octave tapping in general, flat pop, you know, anything like that, even like harmonics.
You don't have a clue what you're doing when you're playing bass, do you?
No, I do.
Cool.
I like to think I do. And then, well, good thing that is the case, because the next one I'll go into is the tried and true Sans amp. I know a lot of players now like use dark glass stuff, which fair enough. Me personally, I've always just preferred the sound of a Sans amp. I like it more. It's just better sounding for me. So I don't drive the distortion that much. Like, it's funny you mention Alex Webster, because I'm very much like of the same ilk of him, where I like a really sort of punchy, bright, clean tone, as opposed to like a dirty, distorted tone in death metal.
Is Tony Dolan of Immolation an inspiration for you?
I wouldn't say an inspiration.
Ross Dolan, Tony Dolan, Ross Dolan, Tony. I think I'm still in Glasgow or something. Ross Dolan.
There you go, man. I wouldn't say, no disrespect, I wouldn't say an inspiration, but I definitely like his bass tone. Like, even the bass tone in Severed Survival, like how it's not distorted. It's just like very clean, but very punchy as well.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that. And then after that, I go into a noise suppressor. And then I go into my wee Mark bass, Little Mark 250 bass head, which is just, I've had that bass head for about 5 years. I think it's really cool. It's really nice. For the longest time, I was just using that bass head as well. This is before I had my pedal board. So I think that does the job. And that's just a fairly simple bass setup for me.
It sounds as if you're the geek of the band, to be honest with you.
Yeah, definitely. I probably know more about like Higgy and Ali's gear.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, they use the same noise suppressors and stuff, and it's like, yeah. But
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, you both have NS2s. But yeah, it's just simple bass setup, really. I've got, as far as I'm concerned, I've got everything I'll ever need for bass. So
Cool. Well, listen, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I know for a fact it will not be the last time.
Absolutely not.
It's taken a wee while to get us here, but that's because you haven't released anything. But I've just got the last question. So, when's the album going to be released, and what formats will we get it in, and who's it going to be released by?
I could
Don't
probably...
Ross, don't tell him.
Bastards.
I genuinely couldn't answer any of those questions right now. Not that I would.
I can give a somewhat of an answer. We've had quite a bit of interest in not new material, but releasing Flesh Monstrosity from a few different labels from different places around the world. I think there was a label in Poland wanting to release it, and where else? Maybe America.
I think
I can't remember.
I definitely know the one in Poland. I'm not sure about America, but
is it Metal Mind?
No.
Bastard. Like my best.
Just
but,
keep an eye on keep an eye on our very few socials.
Yeah.
We're working on that. We're trying to keep regular updates.
Well, make sure you do that, because like I said, you're held in very high regard in Glasgow, not just Glasgow, Scotland, the UK, and as you've already said, you're sending merch and your EP overseas, America and such like. So keep on doing what you're doing. Get it done quicker, but release it when the time is right, because I think there is definitely a place for Rancid Cadaver. And see, when it's ready, I want an exclusive. I want to play a song on my dark metal show on a Thursday night first.
We will definitely talk business when the time comes.
Yeah, and you'll have to pay for it as well. But yes.
Oh, never mind then.
No, we'll definitely do a bit of Moshville radio. We'll do a bit of Moshville Times. You guys definitely need to be heard, and you're held in high regard in so many group chats that I'm in. So get it done, get the release out before the end of the year. Are we going to get something before the end of the year? Could you give us that?
Hopefully.
Yeah, we are. All jokes aside, we are hoping to put out at least
A single.
Aye. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Get it done.
Well,
pleasure to talk to you guys. All right.
Thank you very much
too,
for having
man.
us. It's been an absolute honour, my man.
No worries at all. Cheers, guys.